Good morning everyone and welcome to Stretford Paddock. I am Alex and this is the paper talk. This is the May 1st paper talk. Wow, it's May already. Happy Friday everyone. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're staying safe, staying busy, doing whatever, you know the routine by now. So let's get straight into this straight away. We've got a couple of topics for you today. Topic number one for today, obviously from there, you've all seen it. It's Dean Henderson not for sale. This is coming from ESPN. Saying that United were set to reject bids from places like Chelsea and Juventus and will look to loan out Dean Henderson again next season. For me, I think this is the best decision we can do. Trying to get Dean Henderson more experience. We've still got David De Gea, so and for whatever you say, he's still a fantastic goalkeeper. So if we can keep Dean Henderson on our books, ready to take over when ready, and also gain some experience at some top level stuff, I think that's great. I think Sheffield United will probably be the preferred destination again. I hope so anyway. I think the way that Sheffield United progressed under Dean Henderson is perfect for him. Championship last season, which obviously is a really tough league to be in, and a really tough physical league to be in. And now he's coming to Premier League and proved as well that he's got the capabilities. And I think if we can get another year of loans out of him, I think that would be ideal. So going over that again, that is the reports from ESPN saying that United are set to reject bids for Dean Henderson and keep him on loan somewhere. They've not said whether Sheffield United, but it's looking like Sheffield United is a destination. And this all again looks like it's going to be a good progression for him, where if he can then move on into next season, how Sheffield United have done. Hopefully however this kind of goes, if he clings on to some kind of European football, he's gone from Championship football last season, Premiership football this season, and next year, hopefully he'll have more Premier League football. He'll then be able to go and do stuff in the Europa League and maybe get some more England caps. It's looking like he's definitely in contention to be to number one. They've got one there saying you can't loan out to a club 3 years in a row. I didn't know that. I'm not sure that's true. I'm sure you can. But either way, I think that looking at a club around Sheffield United, whether I think that a club around Sheffield United that's going into European football is the key, because now he's got that progression, he's moving further forward, and I think this is the right thing to do. Me and Jay Motti did the debate on this about 3-4 weeks ago now, about him. He even thought that Dean Henderson's ready now for Manchester United. I'm against that. I don't quite think that that's the case. I think De Gea's still got a lot to offer. I think that selling him or getting rid of Dean Henderson would be the wrong thing to do, but I don't think he's quite ready for Manchester United yet. I think he needs another year of some kind of experience elsewhere. Sheffield United is the perfect place for him, I think. So I think that if he can stay there again, whether that's a possibility or not, I'm not sure about that, Jamie. I think it's perfect for him. I said European football, hopefully next season for them. It's more and more experience, which is what you need for Dean Henderson. Let us know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that Dean Henderson should come and play for Manchester United next season? Do you think he's better than De Gea? Do you think that we should sell him on? Do you think we should cash in? Because we've signed De Gea onto a long-term contract. It's 4 or 5 years we've got that contract. So whatever happens, we're gonna have De Gea either in the background if it's next season, or we're gonna have to try and move him on, and that's a big way to move on. I think this could be one of the underlying things that we may have made a mistake with Manchester, with David De Gea, because I see a lot of people have said that Dean Henderson for the start of the 21-22 season, that would be the ideal time to get him in, which I probably agree is the right time. But De Gea's on a lot of money. He's on 400 grand a week. Is he going to sit on the bench? Is he going to be sold? Because I think that kind of has passed now. I don't think that Real Madrid are going to take him now. I think that he's probably gone past the point of him being worthwhile to go to Real Madrid. Similar. Who else can afford that? PSG maybe. Are PSG going to do it, or are they going to go for someone younger? If they're going to gamble on paying 400 grand a week, Maybe someone like Juventus, but again, that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money, and would require a big transfer fee. That's where Juventus usually do quite well, is they don't usually pay the top transfer fees when they're spending the top money. You look at Aaron Ramsey this summer. Now, maybe not worked out for him, but getting him in a free transfer, but spending 400 grand a week on him, that's kind of what they do. If they are going to spend any money, it tends to be maybe on the younger players. They don't really spend a lot of money on their top players. Especially the ones coming towards the end of their career. So yeah, let us know what do you think. We've got a comment here: selling back with a buyback clause in 2 years. I mean, again, these are tough. They're tough things to get a club to agree to, and because goalkeepers, again, people want to buy a goalkeeper not for a short-term fix. People want to buy a goalkeeper that's going to be long-term. That's going to be someone that's going to stay there. You look at what De Gea has done for us. You look at what Van der Sar did before that. You want a goalkeeper that's going to stick around for a long period of time. You don't want to buy a goalkeeper that's going to be 2 years. And the clubs that are going to be looking at Dean Henderson to buy, we've got Chelsea. Chelsea's in that mix. Juventus were in that mix. That's what the reports for ESPN were saying. So, whether can he do that? Will they allow that to happen? I'm not too sure whether a buyback clause is the case. So I think we're going to have, whether it's this summer or not, I think the questions are going to start being asked this summer, depending on what Dean Henderson wants. But next summer, that's going to be the big summer where we have to make a decision on Dean Henderson. We have to make a decision on David De Gea, what's going to happen. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be, I think this is going to be quite a saga when it gets round to it. Maybe not this season, but definitely next season. There's going to be a saga around our goalkeepers. So moving on to the next topic we have today is Upamecano. This kind of came out last week that he was on United's radar, and kind of the whole centre-half thing kind of started happening. Started to ask the questions of whether Manchester United are going to look for a centre-half to go alongside Harry Maguire, replace Harry Maguire, whatever you think, but it's two centre-halves. So the Koulibaly links came out, Upamecano links came out, whether he was going to be someone that was going to be alongside that player. So now the reports coming out today from Sky Germany, who are usually pretty good with this, Sky Germany are usually spot on, have said that Upamecano is going to sign a new deal with RB Leipzig and he will stay there. So that kind of looks like to be the end of that, Again, the old story of Manchester United being, whether it be used a bit, those links get dropped out here and there, and then next minute, oh look, these guys have got a better deal. We've seen it happen with the top clubs. You've seen it happen with players like the big one was Sergio Ramos, that came out where he just said, yeah, the Manchester United's possibility, and all these leaks came out. Next minute, brand new bumper deal at Real Madrid, and that's kind of how it goes. Going back to the Dean Henderson, there's people saying Inter Milan's an option. Potentially, but again, wages. You look at the Alexis Sanchez now. He was an option for them, but they can nowhere near afford his wages, and are going to probably move him on now. Alexis Sanchez nowhere near the quality of player that you get in David De Gea, obviously in very different positions, but it's still a lot of money for people, and I think there's only probably 2 or 3 clubs in the whole world that can afford David De Gea's wages. So again, this is going to be the problem with all that, and we'll see how that goes next year. But back to Upamecano, it looks like that one's done. The Koulibaly links have kind of gone quiet. I think that centre-half stuff is kind of the bonus signing for Manchester United. Definitely the bonus sign. I don't think in the slightest that that's the top of our list. I think Jadon Sancho and a right winger is very, very high up on that list. A midfielder in some position, in some way, shape or form, all dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba, is definitely up there. So whether that be your Jack Grealish, your Thomas Partey, your Declan Rice, those, it's all different positions, even James Maddison in there, there I think is the the priority positions. And then I think it's centre forward maybe in a backup, depending on where they see. I think if they could get a top level player that could challenge Anthony Martial, I think they would, but I don't think that's up there. And in the same vein, your centre half, I think that's where it's kind of going to sit, where it's not too sure. You're not too sure whether we need one. Victor Lindelof's done well. I think he's a good player. I don't think there's any problem with Victor Lindelof. Eric Bailly, another very good player. If he can stay fit, is a very, very good partner for Harry Maguire. Both of them can do the job, and whether we go 3 at the back, all these different things. There's a question here: is Alexis that bad? He has quality. If that's you, let him have another go. I don't agree with that now. I think that, look, Alexis Sanchez was a quality footballer. No denying that. And you could see glimpses of brilliance when he came for Manchester United. The game against Spurs at Wembley, the assists he made in the comeback against City, there was signs that you've got a very good player there. But I think he's lost that half step of pace. I think he's lost that dynamic edge that he always had, where he was running in behind and he had that press. He had that kind of Tevez-esque kind of press. He did all those kind of things. But, I just think he's kind of lost that. And I think he's not that... You see that happens to players all the time. Players like Ryan Giggs, for example, and obviously one of the best players ever for Manchester United. But you see, when he lost his pace, he managed to adapt his role in the team to being a deep lying player. He could play in the centre of the park a bit more, maybe play as an 8 rather than as a winger. And I've not seen Alexis Sanchez kind of look like that. I've not seen him adapt to that. And I don't know whether he will. So Alexis Sanchez, I don't know how they're going to deal with that this summer. It's all going to come up. Again, wages are a huge thing. Whether they can ship him off, I don't know. That's the big thing, is whether someone's going to take them wages, because he can just say, well, I'll just stay here and get paid 400 grand a week. I don't have to move anywhere. You sign me up to a contract. So I think Alexis Sanchez potentially could just stick around and take his money, which obviously isn't great. We'll have a look there. Pedro and Sanchez were pretty similar at Barcelona. The trajectory is different now. So I think Pedro, I don't get what you're kind of going with that one. I think that both have had pretty good careers. Pedro is getting the stick for the last few months, his time at Chelsea, but Pedro was a quality player at Barcelona all the way up until the left. Alexis Sanchez was a quality player. Yes, he went to Arsenal. I think loads of people have gone to Arsenal and they've not achieved things in terms of trophies, but he was still a very good player. He was probably the top player at Arsenal for a long period of time, one of the top players in the Premier League. So I think both of those players have very, very good careers. Again, it's just the way that the physicality can affect different people, and Torres is the perfect example of that as well, where he lost that little bit of pace and he couldn't find that form straight away and struggled when he was at Chelsea a little bit. He had a few good games and has had a few good games since, but he never really had that run because he lost that little bit of edge. He lost that one bit of the physicality, that little bit of extra pace that got him in behind. He lost that. What do you think about a striker like Belotti as a backup for Martial? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go with strikers. I think that Igalo's probably high up on that list right now to stick around. So if they can get a good deal for him, I think they will. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with strikers. Whether they're still looking for a number one as a replacement of Martial, I think that's still in the back burners. You can't forget that we were definitely looking at Haaland, and we weren't looking at Haaland as a backup for Anthony Martial. So it's what do we think? What do we think now? Whether is Martial going to be our number 9 and Igalo's going to be the number 2 to that? Are we going to get a different number 2 to that's going to sit behind him? Who knows? Where else have we got? Let's have a quick look at that. A few more comments about Alexis Sanchez. Yes, he's that bad, and he's bad to have around. Toxic asset. Get rid of him by any means necessary. And there's from Isaac as well. Just pay a lump sum and terminate the contract. Just have to have him out of sight, out of mind. He isn't a profitable asset and is negative to the team. I don't think he was too negative in terms of. I think there was definitely a couple of reports that he wasn't fully getting on with people, but I don't think he was horrendous in there. I don't think any of the players are really, really bad. I think there was even Lukaku up to a point wasn't that bad of a person to be around. I think that it's just one of them. If someone turns around to you and says, even though we thought you were going to be the main man, you're not anymore, I think you'd throw a bit of a huff in your job as well. So I think that's kind of been the case. and I think the personalities have changed in Manchester United. I think, and maybe Alexis Sanchez doesn't quite fit into that. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to stay around. I think whether they cancel his contract, pay a lump sum, I don't know. We'll see. Let's have a look at that. Glenn Fletcher, I think he'll just take the money unless Beckham can help us out, as he still loves United. Yeah, maybe something like that. I think he'd still do well in the MLS. I think he's still got quite. Think he's definitely good enough to be there. So who knows? People saying, was he toxic? He didn't slag off the club. That's you can be toxic without slagging off the club. You can be toxic by just having a bad attitude in training. That's kind of where the rumours were and stuff like that, where he just wasn't doing it, and the younger lads weren't really getting on well with him. But I think, do you know what? That is enough for the news today. Make sure you like this video, give it a share, give it a whatever, and also make sure you have a look at our memberships. It's now May, so you'll be looking at, again, a whole new month. So the packages will be going out for the top tier will be sent out in the next week or so. So make sure you keep a lookout for them, and also so sign up to that. Also remember, we have House Number Cola coming up later on. We have, of course, 10 o'clock tonight. So in about 11 hours time, we'll have Late Night Live with Joe Smith. New location. So make sure you check out that for Joe Smith. Set your reminders for that. Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.